One of the most important parts of a goat is its feet. Foot health can really help a goat thrive. If a hoof is healthy, if it doesn't have sores, and if it's clipped properly, that goat will be able to move without pain and will be able to access feed and water readily. When we look to pick up a goat foot, the front foot and the back foot are going to be picked up differently because of the way that the goat's legs are structured. So let's start with the front foot. So what we'll do is we'll not scare the animal. The animal knows that I'm here. We'll reach down, and because the front leg bends backwards, she'll cooperate with me. Come on. I know. We can go ahead and lift up the foot like that. This foot is really nicely clipped. So the way that goat hooves grow is they'll grow out, and they'll also grow from the sidewalls in over the hoof. If you see that growth over, that doesn't necessarily mean that the hoof is in bad health. It just means that it needs a little bit of a trim. So that's something to look at when we look at goat hooves. And they should be relatively flat so that they can walk on surfaces evenly. When we're looking at the hoof's anatomy, we also want to make sure that there's no foot rot or foot scald. And what this looks like is blisters, and you can find that in between the clefts of the hoof right here. So if we take the hoof and split it apart, we see that there's nice hair coating, there's no blisters, nothing leaking, nothing yucky looking. This is a healthy hoof. So now we're going to talk about how to lift a back leg and check the foot on the hind leg. And the reason why we're doing both legs separate is because they functionally work different ways. So with this leg, it was pretty easy because we could just go ahead, lift at the knee joint, and it bends backwards, and we can look at the foot pretty readily. But with the back leg, it bends the opposite way. So instead, we kind of need to do a lift and curl technique with the bottom of the foot. And here's how we do that. So we want to make sure that her weight's on her other leg because we are taking her off balance by lifting this leg. And we can go ahead and lift. So this follows the joint naturally, how it would turn. And then we can go ahead and tilt the hoof back, and that's how we're going to see what's going on. So if we come over a little bit closer, we can now go ahead and look at the hoof and see that it too is pretty healthy. So we don't have any sort of blisters or ulcers here between the toes. There doesn't look to be any differentiation of the tissue. All the hair looks good. And the hoof is really well trimmed. So this hoof wall's trimmed down flush against the bottom of the foot. And the tips of the hooves are also short where they need to be. So this is also a healthy foot.